Welcome back to the Division 2. I'm going to straight up start this video. If you don't like what I have to say about the game and when I'm negative, then I suggest you click off this video super quick, because what the developers have done is completely unacceptable. There is no other way to put it. These patch notes for Title Update 9 are an absolute shambles, and it just goes to show, like, literally the best thing for the Division 2 right now is for Massive Entertainment to just get up and leave. Pass it on to a different development team, because this game is going nowhere. Division 1 made a comeback in 1.8 or whatever and people enjoyed it, but I can't see that happening again with Division 2. Each and every title update is getting worse and worse. And this is all since Warlords. When it was Title Update 7, it was okay. And then they just started messing around and bugs coming back. Bugs from when the game first launched. Important core functions of the game. And I'm getting sick and tired of seeing these patch notes when they have nothing relevant. I'm going to start it off. It's approximately 10 gig to do the update when the patch is released tomorrow. You've got the exotic reconfiguration, which there's another correction because Ubisoft forums stated the game, it wasn't cleared up properly. But we should all by now know how it's going to work. You can upgrade your exotics from level 30 to level 40, and then from 40 you can re-roll them, get all new attributes. The attributes won't roll over, you can't keep any of them, you can't recalibrate them. It's literally just recycling the weapon and giving you a chance at a better one, even though your chances are probably like next to none. Game balancing, and I'm going to leave a link in the description for all of this so you can go check it out for yourselves. Sawyer's knee pads have been reworked. I'm not going into depth with a lot of it. Imperial Dynasty's been buffed. Dodge City Gunslinger is reduced charge up time 30 seconds from 50. The Diamond Back has been reworked. It now grants all shots guaranteed crits for 5 seconds after hitting a mark. The Merciless has got a damage buff from the explosion damage from 900% up to 1200. Lady Death no longer enhances turret skills. Bullet King's base damage is now the same as the non-exotic LMG version. And then this was the big confusion. Exotic attribute roll quality. All exotics will now roll at the highest possible minimum roll, regardless of the difficulty they are obtained in. Exotic items can still roll higher than the minimum, but minimum rolls are now higher. So regardless of the difficulty, and this isn't me getting this from someone in the community or someone I've been talking to on YouTube or anything, this is official developer patch notes. All exotics will now roll at the highest possible minimum roll regardless of the difficulty they are obtained in, meaning you can go and get an exotic drop in story difficulty or normal difficulty and it's got a chance to be better or the same stats as when you play fucking legendary. Whoever come up with that patch note needs an instant get out of the company, you're fired, like that sort of stuff. Whoever come up with that idea just is the worst thing that's happened, because there's no point in grinding for exotics now, and the way they're constantly being reworked and buffed and nerfed and all this shit, you might as well just go collect backpack trophies. Like, they've pretty much become collectibles. There's nothing to the exotics anymore. But moving on, talents. Tag teams being reworked. Reassigned has been buffed. Tamper Proof has been reworked. Empathic Resolve has been buffed. Creeping Death, it's got a few different changes in there. Named items. Now this one fucking takes the piss. Contractor's gloves. I've never personally used them, but the damage to armor has been lowered to 8%. Another one that's really important, Fox's Prayer knee pads. Damage to targets out of cover lowered to 8%. That's a 7% decrease. That's almost 50%. Send Off. It had a talent which used to work well for some form of a skill build. I can't remember what build it was, but it worked well, possibly a healing build, because Pete actually ran it through legendary missions for us. They've removed the perfectly rooted talent. Punch Drunks had its headshot damage increased to 20%. The Hollow Man's damage to health has been lowered to 10%. I haven't used a lot of these, that's why they're not so important to me. Claws Out now correctly has a skill tier core attribute roll, now correctly rolls an attribute in addition to pistol damage and melee damage, and the melee damage has been increased to 400%. Ammo Dump now correctly rolls 2 additional attributes, and Firm Handshake status effects increased to 15%. Weapons. Now, we all know, we've been told in State of the Game that the Baker's Dozen / Classic M1A is being nerfed in Title Update 9. They have not mentioned that in these patch notes. The only thing they have related to weapons is assault rifles, they have increased maximum roll of damage to health to 21%. Unless they've decided to not nerf the Baker's Dozen, or if they've already done it as a stealth nerf, we won't know because they won't tell us anything. And then it says players on Stadia will not see this be displayed correctly and instead see an increase to damage to health on other weapon types. This is a UI issue only and will be fixed with the next client update. I mean, literally, at this stage they can't get a single thing right. Gear sets. For True Patriot, the white buff armor repair has been lowered to 2%/3% once every second. I mean, that's completely pointless as well because it doesn't fucking work for co-op. Like, what is the point of nerfing that and lowering the armor repair if it doesn't actually work how it's supposed to? It only works for solo players. When you're in a group, it only works for the person running True Patriot. Main missions, Pentagon and DARPA Research Lab. Lowered difficulty to be more on par with other missions. They've done that after the fucking league has ended, where you needed to run DARPA on Heroic. I mean, at this point, if you're still trying to say that I'm in the wrong for what I do on YouTube, then you need to actually think about, like, what's actually going on around you. Stop licking the arseholes of these developers. Massive Entertainment are a shit company that have literally slammed their own game into the ground. And the reason I do all of this is because I want the game to be good. I want players to enjoy it. I have no power over what happens, but trust me, I fucking wish I did. Liberty Island lowered the difficulty to be more on par with other missions. Wall Street reduced the health and damage of the APC. There's a lot of stuff relating to New York. That's a paid expansion. That's been out for nearly 2 months now and they're only just fixing things for it. Stranded Tanker, NPC composition has been adjusted. Then there's some AI and NPC stuff, like there's slightly increased damage for your signature weapons when you're firing at named enemies. They reduced the damage elite NPCs deal to player skills. They reduced the damage of all NPC shotguns. Any NPC with special ammo has the same UI indication as from the special ammo directive. Significantly reduced the armor of dynamically spawning rogue agents. To prevent this from being too large of a nerf in 3 to 4 player co-op, a rogue agent can spawn with an armor kit, which can repair their armor up to 70%. And they've slightly reduced the damage output of dynamically spawning rogue agents. Increased the power of dropped exotics to always be of the highest tier, giving the highest minimum rolls. Added the Operation Dark Hours raid gear set chest and backpack items to the general loot pool, making them available outside of the raid. So there is no longer such thing as an exclusive gear set in the first raid. Not even a single item. The only thing exclusive to that raid now is the Eagle Bearer. They've lowered the number of exotic components awarded from exotic deconstruction to match the cost of exotic reconfiguring, which again is a load of shit because we used to get 2 components, we're now going to get 1. And what makes that so bad is the fact that a lot of players want their exotics up to level 40 from 30 and they want to re-roll them to get good stats. And now you're having to sit there and grind and farm more exotics in order to get those components. They should have just kept it where it was. And in my opinion, they also should have just increased the amount of components we could hold. 20 is not enough when you're reconfiguring exotics. They've combined all skill mod blueprints of different qualities into a single blueprint per skill, scaling quality with that of the crafting bench. They've added skill mod blueprints for the skills introduced in Warlords of New York. So the skill mods never had blueprints when they were released with the expansion. They've done some other stuff with blueprints. The sharpshooter's tactician skill base radius has been increased to 50 meters. Scoping's now enabled when using a shield skill. And then we move on to the most important part, and that is the bug fixes. And one of these bugs has really triggered me because it's one that it's a core function of the game. It wasn't working at launch for a lot of players. They fixed it and now all of a sudden it's come back. So before we get into that one, they fixed an issue causing some items created before Warlords of New York to have wrong attribute values. They fixed some of the text on for example, the Acosta's Go Bag talent 1 in hand to correctly state that the buff triggers when the grenade is thrown. Because it says that you have to hit an enemy or kill an enemy with it, you just literally have to throw a grenade. But they were too lazy to just put that in the description. Fixed the text for the booster hive to now correctly state that it delivers a stimulant to nearby allies that increases their weapon damage and weapon handling. The booster hive before Warlords came out always boosted your movement speed. I remember that from playing Conflict because a lot of players used it so we could rush over to the enemy spawn. And ever since Warlords, people have been complaining left, right and centre that it's not working when it's actually been working But again, the text, the description of the skill is fucking incorrect. And they claim that they actually have people testing this stuff. They have people from the development team playing the game all the time. If you play the game, you know about this stuff. They fixed an issue causing the Plague of the Outcasts debuff of the Pestilence to transfer the lower amount of stacks under certain circumstances. I mean, that's probably the only good thing in here, if I'm being completely honest. Now this is the one that's a core function of the game. It was something that was in the game from the get-go for a lot of players, and it's somehow crawled its way back into the coding, and they're only just fixing it. It's obviously been around since at least Warlords of New York, possibly even before that. Fixed an issue causing players to be unable to progress to a higher world tier when completing any required stronghold in another player's session and leaving that session. In order to get to the actual endgame, the final part of endgame, you have to be in the highest world tier. There is a bug in the game again that's fucking halting progression. How are they actually managing to do this stuff? There are so many bugs in this game, and I can guarantee you right now that as soon as this title update drops, a lot of the stuff is not going to work how it's supposed to, and there's going to be twice as many bugs as what there was before. That is a guarantee, and there's a high chance, I'm going to say probably an 80% probability, that the exotic reconfiguring is not going to fucking work. And I'm almost guaranteeing that when I use these 20 exotic components tomorrow in a video to show you what I get, I'm calling that there's going to be not a single god roll. Not one single good thing to come out of that fucking blueprint crafting shit. And not only that, to put it into perspective how fucked the loot is on this game, if you take a look at this clip I recorded from my Xbox, I was doing a challenging mission to get the exotic cash from the latest league on the seasonal content, whatever you want to call it. Challenging difficulty. I opened the loot crate. It's not supposed to have good rolls in it because it's not hard to obtain those crates. I got a double god roll purple piece of fucking gear. It's a purple from challenging difficulty with 2 god rolls on it. That's better than any exotic I've ever had, minus Sawyer's knee pads. Any exotic I've ever had drop from a mission. Even legendary difficulty doesn't award loot that fucking good. It's a purple. And please, if anyone's passed this on and there is a developer watching this, pull your finger out your fucking arse. This is starting to take the piss to the next level. You want a game, you want to make money for the company you're working for your own company, for your own pocket or whatever. Start doing things right before you lose your player base and don't have the chance of that money. Fixed an issue that could cause players to not gain any seasonal XP when disconnecting or crashing, requiring an additional restart of the game. So you crash, you load up, you have to go and restart your game all over again because it's not going to award you any XP. There's been like melee damage bugs. There's an issue that was fixed causing low-level agents to deal higher than intended melee damage while in co-op with a player at level 40. I mean, for a start, you're playing probably the most unbalanced game of the last 2-3 years at least, and you're running around meleeing, and it's only happening for when someone level 30 is playing with someone level 40. And that is something that you want to focus on and fix in the game where there are literally thousands of bugs. There is one audio fix in this entire patch notes list, and that is fixed an issue causing the voiceover to overlap if the player goes through the Keener's Watch tutorial too quickly. Okay, but what about when James Dragov has about 25 voices when you're doing the Wall Street mission? That audio bug hasn't been fixed. I mean, people would have seen the tutorial, should be once, because it should turn off after the first time. Players going through Wall Street looking for that Bullet King, they're seeing that shit 100 times. And then there's a few more. I'll go through a couple that stand out. Fixed an issue causing the Outcast support NPC to remain stuck in the spawn area in the Federal Emergency Bunker main mission on challenging difficulty. Fixed an issue causing too many Outcast tanks to spawn at the same time during the Stranded Tanker main mission. In a 4-player group on Heroic, you've got about 8 or 9, possibly 10 or more tanks that are spawning out of that same doorway. There's even like 3 or 4 when you're playing challenging difficulty solo. So that's probably a good fix. Something that's actually relevant. And as long as they get the balancing right to reduce the difficulty of the DARPA Research Labs mission, then that's probably quite good too. Fixed an issue causing the interaction with a door look weird after respawning during the stranded tanker main mission. Yes, technically this is a weird door. Fixed an issue causing Razorback to not drop any subsequent keys after defeating it once in the raid. Fixed an issue causing Black Tusk to take over too many activities in New York. They also need some time to relax. We've literally gone from them hardly doing anything in New York to them now actually overrunning the place. Fixed some weird stairs. Fixed an issue causing players to be able to loot a weapon container through a wall. Fixed an invisible loot crate. You will ask yourself if there ever was an invisible crate or not. Well, no, we fucking won't. We didn't know it's there. Fixed an issue causing players to be unable to respawn a hunter encounter when they die to it. That's been happening for months as well. There are some more fixes towards the bottom. There's a couple of things for the Dark Zone, like PvP side of things, with nameplates not showing up at the correct distances. Then there are some performance issues. I mean, I say some, there are several performance issues, including multiple in the raid alone. And this was a super long video, but I need to get this stuff out. Like, they are messing up this game so much, it's getting worse and worse. Someone needs to listen from this development team, or they just need to hand it over, because right now, the player base is declining, probably, well, hopefully on a daily basis, because this game is not worth playing. I loaded it up, started doing all the league stuff, and it's like, well, fuck me. I could go play, I don't know, I could sit there and play Peggle 2, I could play Tetris, I could play Pac-Man, and I'd have a lot more fun than I would playing Division 2. I love this game, but it's so broken right now. There are so many things they could do to make this game more fun, and I'm going to be doing videos covering that sort of stuff. Not constructive feedback, not constructive criticism, literally just ideas, concept kind of things that I believe would make the game fun. Because I'm not just negative, I'm pissed off at the developers because they have fucked up so badly, and I do personally have some good ideas. Some of the community, like comments and stuff, there's some fantastic ideas in there. So we'll get some discussions going on those. But for now, that's going to do it for the patch notes. Let me know what you're thinking about them in the comments. As I said at the start of the video, like, if you've made it this far and you don't like me being negative, then I don't know what you're doing. You must literally have nothing else to do. But that's going to do it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.